everybody, this is Sherry with CPR, Craft, Pray, Repeat, and I'm here today with an image from Imagine That Digistamp. I called my card Thankful Heart, and I used the primrose image using B60, 63, and 66, and I apologize. I somehow managed to lose the first part of the coloring, so I'm sorry you're skipping to the end where I color the last flower in. And I just do the same thing that I always do. I put down my base color, which is my lightest, then I go in with my darkest, my mid-tone, and then I go over everything again with my lightest. It wasn't anything difficult. And the one thing I love about digis is that you can make them as big or as small as you want, because the next time, I already have it printed out, the next time I want to do this image and have it cover the entire front of the card, I think that would be just absolutely adorable. And it would be, I think it would be an easy image to color because it would be so big. But I think it would make such a beautiful statement piece. I can hardly wait. To color it next. And so I'm just finishing up my flower, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to do my leaves. Now I had a little trouble with this, and I'll tell you what it was. I come in here and I'm just going to use my G2194, my YG63. Okay, I color the first 4 leaves. No problem, everything's going great. And my husband comes home and we started talking, and so I laid my markers down. I have a ceiling fan and that was on, and so we talked for 10 or 15 minutes, and then I went to pick up my markers, and it was a nightmare, an absolute nightmare, guys. It was, the marker tip was all gummy and sticky, and the ink would not sink into the paper. It was horrible. I was so upset. And let me tell you real quick to use the code Sherry15. If you use that code in the store, anything over a $5 purchase, you get 15% off of your entire purchase. And so I'm getting ready here. I'm coloring the last one, or the last of this 4, and right after this is when I put it down. And I mean, I literally just wanted to cry. I was like, I had put all this work into it, and I was like, there's no way, not throwing it away. I'm gonna figure this out. There's got to be a way to fix this. So what I ended up doing was taking my markers and sitting them upside down where the ink would flow down to the brush nib. And I was waiting for that to kind of transfer the ink back down there. And you can see I was able to finish the coloring on the first set of flowers, but nothing near the quality that I got on the first 4 petals, or first 4 leaves. So when I moved to this flower, I decided that I wanted to switch greens. I was not ready to fight this. And so I picked a green that to me looked as close to the original colors as possible, and I really think it works because they're not right up next to each other. I don't think you can really tell that it's not the the same greens. And there is a little spot here on this one where I should go back in and color the blue for the additional flower, but at this point I knew I was going to have to do something to salvage this card, and I wasn't quite sure what, but I figured I wasn't going to worry about that little blue tiny piece, that if I needed to, I would come back in later and somehow make it right if I was able to keep the whole panel. And I was just determined I wasn't going to lose it. That was not going to happen. So I just done too much. So I go in, and just for the little tiny spot in the center, I just used one color. It wasn't anything, there was nothing big or any way that I could really add a lot of detail. So I used my Y06, 08, and 19 for the rest of the yellow part around the flowers. And so I'm just gone ahead and gone over to the ones on the other side of the card and finishing them up again. My Y19, my darkest, then I go in with my midtone, my Y08, and then I go back over everything again with my Y06, and then just blend it all out. So I came up, I had seen somebody do a card and they put a tag on it, and I liked that, and I thought, well, let's try this. And so I was able to salvage my image, and I probably could even take a couple smaller tags and cut them out of the pieces on the side and save that as well. So I was so grateful that I was able to keep it. And I cut out some die cut words in black because the image has a black outline. I didn't want anything to compete with the flowers because they're the star of the show, but I wanted it to still be able to stand out and be red. So I thought the black worked really well. It's not overpowering, and it still makes it really clear that those flowers are what everybody's going to see and look at. So I was real happy with that. So I just do that and put use my art glitter glue to get that down. I'm going to use the nested stitch rectangle set from Cottage Cuts, and I use the biggest one in the set. And I'm usually freaky about my, borders not being more than 1/4 inch, but this one has a 1/2 inch border all the way around, and I just really like the simplicity and yet kind of the elegance of the card, I thought. So I was okay that, it didn't go all the way to the edge, and I thought it matched the flowers pretty good, so that made me happy. So I'm just going to go ahead and attach down my tag. Now I'm like, okay, I'm going to bring in some Stampin' Up! Rhinestones because I didn't punch a hole in the top for a ribbon to go through. Well, then I was like, ooh, I like that bling. That was pretty. So then I decided to go ahead and put bling in the center of all of the flowers. Well, I'm like, okay, now that I did that, I can't just leave that one up there in the middle of nowhere. And so I'm like, great. I had planned on keeping it, so I already pushed it down. And I'm like, oh God, this card has been one mistake after another. Please help me salvage this card. And so thank the Lord I was able to peel off that bling at the top of the tag without it marring up my paper. I was so thankful. And then I just go ahead and I get some twine out and I make there it goes. Yeah, thank you, Lord. And I get some twine out and make a small bow and attach it to the top, and I just love it. All right, everybody, remember to practice your CPR, craft, pray, repeat. Thanks for visiting me today, and happy crafting. I love you all. Bye.